This is op-ed number 3, titled ELife versus Real Life. Just before we get into the content of this video, as a bit of an update for myself, I haven't produced any content probably in about 2 or 3 months. I've had some changes in real life that have taken priority over me producing content, writing articles and videos and blogs and stuff like that. I've sorted that stuff out. That stuff is now behind me. There's a new chapter in my life leading forward. And it's going to give me the opportunity to be able to produce some more content, write some more articles, keep my blog updated, and maybe throw in a video here or there. Which for me is really exciting because I love looking at League of Legends. I love everything about it. Whether it's popular or not, I don't really care. I'm doing it anyway. I haven't done this before either. Just a little bit about myself. I go by the name Volsig. It's just the name I made up a little while ago, and I guess I've just stuck out with it. I started with League of Legends sometime in the second half of 2014. I don't play it very well. I don't really care that I don't play it very well because I don't get a lot of time to play League of Legends. I'm lucky to play it 2 or 3 times a week, and even then it might only be for an hour or 2, 3 at the very most. So I don't sort of pride myself on being an exceptional League player. However, I do watch a lot of League of Legends. I have watched a lot of League of Legends. I don't watch normal TV anymore because I watch League of Legends. I started first watching League of Legends at Paris All-Stars in 2014. I was introduced to Faker and Froggen and all of these really big, cool names, and I guess I've just been interested ever since then. I started analyzing League of Legends like fully probably sometime during the middle of 2015, where I sort of went, wow, like there's some traction here. There's something going on, and I wrote my first article just because I thought I had some good ideas towards the start of this end of last year, end of 2015. And I used to post some articles to Gold per 10. The link here for my articles on gamers.com has a list of all the articles I've written. On Gold per 10, they were somewhat popular. 100, 120 views or so, and then as of late, I've written some more popular articles on gamers that have had 1, 2, 3,000 views, which for me is quite rewarding. So I want to continue doing it, not because I'm making money off it or anything like that. It's just a passionate thing for me. Education-wise, I've got 2 degrees. I've got a major in philosophy and history. And I also have a Bachelor of Teaching. I used to be a school teacher. I'm not a school teacher anymore. However, I do enjoy teaching and learning and analyzing and things like that, which I guess really leads to why I love high-level League of Legends so much. When it comes to this video, I had an interaction with a gentleman on Twitter, which ended up being nothing. It started as me being sort of opinionated about something. It didn't turn into very much, so I'm not going to name the other individual who was involved with it, because at the end of the day, it was quite pointless. But it sort of was the last sort of straw on the camel's back, and it got me thinking about people's digital footprints and how your ELife and your real life are connected. I want to sort of do this as an open letter, as a PSA to anyone who is online, anyone who has a Twitter account, anyone who streams, anyone who has YouTube videos, anyone who does anything like that, because it's really important to note that there is a strong link between your online life and your real life. Whether you highlight it to start with or whether you ignore the link and keep them both separate, they're both going to be very, very similar and interlinked at some stage in the future, especially if you are a player. or a personality known within the scene. Um, we know that everything on the internet is recorded. There are histories in the internet. Everything on the internet is permanent. You put up a picture for a second, most likely, like leaks for video games. Someone puts up something wrong, it's taken down 2 minutes later, but half the internet now has screenshots of that original misguided post or update to a website or something like that. And that's how leaks start. Leaks can also start from people anonymously giving information to, Kotaku or, magazines and Twitter accounts and websites and people and stuff like that. Things are very, very stars. They have pictures that they don't want out there anymore. And all of the lawsuits in the world are not going to remove that picture being circulated for forevermore. That picture is going to be found in a Google search forevermore. So it's really, really important to make sure that what you're putting out there is what you want to keep out there. And yes, that is the point of my video. There is very little space for human error on the internet. There is very little space for lacks of communication and lacks of information on the internet because it's all so permanent. Primarily what I want to start with is this whole drama in CSGO and the betting scandals and what have you. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it because everyone's going to have an opinion and talk about this and, laws and unregulated and preying on, influential young people and fans of the game and this and that and whatever and, disclosing important information. Sure, that's important. But for the people who are implicated in this, unfortunately, whether they've done the right thing or the wrong thing, unfortunately, their names are now tarnished. Not just in the online world, but also in the real world. These people, when they go for, if they want to create businesses in the future, whether they want to, any ventures that they might do in the future that's, in any relation to any laws or any background checking or anything like that, this is going to come up and their names have been dragged through the mud. So we really need to be careful about what we do. It's very, very easy for our online lives, the empires that we project in front of us, the people that are watching you, the people that are watching your stream, the people that interact with you online. It's very easy to be lost when you have created this empire inside this room, on this computer, behind that camera, and think, right, there are no external implications. I'm just raking in the skrilla. How great am I? How good is this? What a life. Yeah, sure, that's great. Good on you. That's awesome. But we have to remember that that has implications in the real world. Now, whether these people in these CSGO betting scandals thought that they might be able to get away with it because, well, this is just an online thing. And sure, technically, this isn't real currency, or it's not a real betting site, or it's not this, or it's not that. There are laws that are going to impact that. Whether that was researched properly in the first place or not, whether they got some bad advice or not, whether they thought they could get away with it or not, I don't know. I'm not going to imply that they did or not. But if that was a real business and they were selling computers, or whether they were selling something or they were giving something or trading money for a good or a service, in the real world, they'd have to go through, agencies that have licensing, that have, checks and balances to make sure that everything is legitimate and there's nothing sus about it. You're a goods importer and exporter. Everything needs to be checked by customs and border controls to make sure there's nothing illegal going out, nothing illegal coming in, nothing, like bugs and stuff going to other countries, diseases and the like. In the real world, that gets checked because there's people out there who make sure that nothing goes wrong, whereas online, those checks and balances aren't necessarily there, but the laws outside of that ELife still are, and they can very, very easily be ignored. I mean, I could set up a CSGO betting site and do everything and start raking in money without letting a government agency know about anything until, for example, it came to tax time or registering a business name at the start or at the very end. Like, I could do all of that and do the most sus things in the world, and it could, as we've seen, you can be doing all these really, really questionable things. It's not going to get back to you for, possibly forever, but then sometimes it does. Do you want to run that risk or not? If you do, and you get caught out, that is with you forever. Something to consider. That also goes for the personality and the persona and the image that you project of yourself, whether you're streaming or creating videos for League of Legends and content like that. If you're an upstanding person who, is very well mannered, you project yourself as, and you show yourself as this really, really cool person, great personality, personable with everybody, doesn't cuss too much, but maybe you do, but then that's okay. The best example I can sort of think of is I'm a cutie pie. Cutie stream is awesome. It's really, really entertaining. Sure, there's cuss words in there and swearing and this and that, but it's all sort of very, very sort of G-rated entertainment. It's just him playing League of Legends, has a bit of a laugh with a couple of mates. It's all very contextual to League of Legends. There might be some other streamers out there. I'm sure you might be able to pick up some of them yourself. I'm not going to go naming and shaming people, but their streams have a different approach. They might stream and talk about lots of not unsavory things, but talk about things in a particular way that might make you think, okay, all right, that's how he wants to do it. That's cool. I probably personally wouldn't talk about that. But what we have to consider is that image that you get of that person is now stuck with you forever. So if you ever saw one of these streamers in real life, or something like that happen, where you meet the person that's behind or that is the online image, you've immediately linked the two and gone, wow, why does he do that on stream and he's not like that in person? That's kind of weird. I'm, most connected to that streamer because I watch him all the time. Now I've met him. There's an image in my head of this person doing and talking about those particular things. So it's really, really important that we remember, and that individuals remember, that if something's online, it's there to stay. And you want to make sure that that image of you is the one that you want. I'm not saying that you have to be, an upstanding Christian who goes to church every Sunday and is this kind of person. I'm just giving the advice that you need to make sure that the persona that you project online is the one that you want to keep. That's going to stick with you forever. And sure, it might not be up front when you sort of leave the esports or the e-world behind, but it will come out at some stage, particularly if you are well known. That leads on to that's going to lead on to my final point. Sure, all of this stuff happens, and there's levels of success here and there, and la da da, and people are embroiled in scandals and what have you. And sure, we can all look at that in esports and go, yeah, that's esports, man. That's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that this isn't just a bunch of nerds and losers in a dark room playing video games non-stop for hours and hours on end. This is turning into a big business. This is turning into a business where there's lots of money flowing through it. We see lots of we don't see it, but we know that there's lots of rumor and innuendo about dodgy people coming into the scene. Rumors and innuendo about dodgy things happening in contracts and lots of bad stuff happening. The reason that happens is because there's money in this scene. There's lots of good guys in the scene. I personally think Hastro, the owner of NVS, is not a stand-up guy, but he's got a really, really intelligent head, a really intelligent mind, and he sort of treats the whole thing as a business. And he's got a very, very strong relationship with how he runs that business, and the image that he projects of himself is of this sort of intelligent, well-spoken man who has his bearings about him and is not prone to silly decisions. He's not going to say something dumb that a sponsor might turn and go, I don't like that you said that, and la da da. He seems like a pretty intelligent guy, and I have a lot of respect for him. even though I've never had much to do with the esports scene, immediately he's someone that sort of makes me think, yeah, smart dude, smart dude. If I had money, I'd invest in him. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, I don't, but there's a concept there. I want to develop that concept a little bit more. When you are a business and you're looking to expose your brand, make a bit of money, do the business side of things of esports that is becoming more and more prevalent because esports is so popular these days. You're looking at an organization and going, right, what image is this projecting of my business, my work, my livelihood? How is this going to help me make more money? How's this going to expose my brand a little bit more? How's it going to give me more visibility? A business would want a very, very particular kind of person. Maybe that person is you cussing and streaming and ranting and raving on stream, and there's HyperX in the background. Okay, or in the foreground. Okay, that's fine. If that's what's going to make it work, that's what's going to make it work. But you run the risk of there along coming a sponsor with lots of money and go, yeah, plug my products. I want, on the frames around the video, I want my brand here and I want that there. I want that there. I want you to wear this t-shirt and use this drink bottle. Yeah, okay, cool, no worries. But they're not going to give that to someone who, is possibly projecting the image that they don't want, that they don't like, that they don't appreciate, that they don't want associated with their brand. So people really, really, really need to be careful about this. Because, like I said before, there's very little space for error when it comes to the internet because everything is permanent. Everything is permanent on the internet. Whether you like it or not, whether you think I'm wrong or not, I'm telling you for a fact that things on the internet are permanent. In Australia, we have the biggest sport in this country at the moment is rugby league. In the NRL is what's the competition called. And there was a player from a Sydney team who was caught bubbling, right? Now, for those who don't know what a bubbler is, it's got nothing to do with drinking water. Only men can do it, and it's usually done in a toilet. And you don't need anything else to be able to do that. Maybe you can imagine, but it does involve you drinking something. Use your imagination. But essentially, like, there was one person who took a photo, right? There were suppression orders going through really, really quickly about that picture being deleted wherever it was seen. None of the big newspapers could publish that photo. None of the big Twitter accounts could publish that photo. But it took me 5 seconds to find a copy of it. The uncensored sort of like original photo. It took me 5 seconds. Things are permanent. Things are permanent on the internet. So make sure that the permanent stuff that's out there about you is the one that you want. That's all I'm saying. Because there's so much money flowing through esports and so much visibility and exposure to the general public, when we're trying to legitimize esports, when we're trying to make it, we're trying to make it socially acceptable, and we're trying to make it, very, very public and very, very popular to continue expanding these sports and competitions and tournaments and stuff like that. We want to be making sure that it's the image that we want to project. You don't want to be doing something that's going to compromise something you do in the future. But in saying that, you don't want to you constrict yourself into a person that you're not. But when it comes to silly things that, like an argument that you have or a statement that you make on Twitter or something like that, you've got to be really careful about what you put out there. Now, it's difficult for, I think it's difficult for younger generations to be really aware of that. I mean, I'm nearly 30. I'm 29. I'll be 30 by the end of the year, okay? I have had experience in life, and I've seen it happen before me, enough to know that millennials, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, even some mid-20 people in their mid-20s, still don't have a really strong understanding of what it means for social media. I know people who work in a hospital. Hospitals have very, very strong privacy policies. Essentially, it's in the code of conduct that you can't talk about work on Facebook, on the internet. You can't post photos. You can't say, oh my God, I had such a shit day today. Like, you can't say that. You are not allowed to say that. But I guarantee you, 90% of the people who are in that age group, who are working in those jobs, will put something up about work. Sure, they're not going to get in trouble for it every single second that they do, but it's going to come back to bite them in the ass at some stage in the future. All it takes is one person to sort of go, hey boss, look, this person put something up about Facebook, bam, that's instant dismissal because you have not followed the code of conduct. Now, when it comes to esports, sure, there's no code of conduct, but you need to use your brain a little bit and think, right, how am I projecting myself? How am I doing this? And how is people going to think about that? How is that going to reflect on my brand? Or how is that going to reflect on my personality? How is that going to reflect on my persona? So it's super, super important for us to be concerned about our digital footprints. Because everything on the internet is the past, but it's our footprint. Make sure that you're leaving behind the footprints that you want. And leading into the future where there's going to be more money flowing around the esports scene, where there's going to be more business deals, where there's going to be more exposure, where there's going to be more legitimacy as people want, you need to make sure that if you want to be there for the ride, you need to make sure that that image, which is everything, that image is what you actually want, is the one that is going to, that you're happy with. I'm not going to say appeal to big businesses because essentially that's not going to work. You're not going to be you. They're going to see right through that facade. All I'm saying is make sure that the person that you are projecting onto the internet is the one that you're happy to keep. Make sure those footsteps are the ones that you're happy that you have taken. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll keep you updated. I'm super active on Twitter. I don't do a whole lot of YouTube videos, but I guess I'll try to keep them updated again on my Twitter. My previous articles are on gamers.com. The address is next to it, and I also have a blog that I will sort of try to keep more updated as of late. I think it's a good way to comment, communicate, and update people on interesting stuff that's going on in my head. Maybe it's not interesting to you, whatever. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I appreciate your attentiveness.